So here we've got a problem where we need to locate the centroid of the shaded region of the object, and we know to find the centroid in previous videos and from your book. We know that the summation of AX over the summation of A is our X bar. So this A stands for area, and our X is the value of X to each composite section, which we'll discuss in just a second. And our Y bar is going to be the summation of AY over the summation of A. Now, by looking at this entire area, shaded region, I like to look at it this way, where I'm going to look at this whole shaded region plus this rectangle, so this whole section, which I'm going to call section 1. And then here, this little triangle that I'm going to subtract out, I'm going to call that area, or section 2. Now I could also kind of do where I'm going to take this rectangle, and then I'm going to take this triangle, then I'm going to take this square. I could do that in order to compute my centroids as well. I just think that working with two sections is a little easier for me. So I like to set up a table, and how I set my table is I have my different sections. So I'm going to have section 1 and 2, section 1, section 2. By looking at this formula, I know I'm going to need the area for both sections. I'm also going to need the X bar, which is the distance in the X direction from the axis. I'm going to need my AX, which is my area times my X bar here. And I'm going to need my Y bar and my AY bar. Okay. I'm also going to have my summation of my area, my AX, and my AY. So when I compute the area of the entire square, I know that 12 times 12 is going to be 144. But since I'm sitting right here in the middle, my axis is right here, I note that the X bar isn't going to go anywhere. It's sitting right in the center. Remember, because we're counting this as part of the whole section or the whole square. And my Y bar isn't going to move anywhere. It is sitting right there. That it would be the centroid of the entire square. So this would be 0, and this would be 0. Meaning that 144 times 0 is also going to be 0. 144 times 0 also going to be 0. Now that would be different if my axis, let's say, was here and here. So something you may want to do is work out the problem with the axis over here, and you should still get the same point, which I'm guessing is going to be somewhere in there. You'll still get this distance, or this location, I should say, for our centroid. For section 2, I'm going to go ahead and erase those axes, but I'm going to use that line there. So if I'm going to compute the X bar is going to be here for this triangle. Now we know the entire side here is 6 inches, but what's this distance here? Well, we know it is 1/3 the entire distance, which is going to be 6. So this distance is going to be 2 inches. So my X bar would be 4 inches. And my Y bar, I know that I'm going to be going up a certain distance. That's going to be my Y bar for just this triangle. And again, we know that this distance here is 1/3 times 6, so this is also going to be 2, so my Y bar is also going to be 4. Now the area, we know area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, so 6 times 6, 6 times 6 times 1/2 is equal to 18. So our area is 18, so 18 times 4. Well, let me go back 1 second. This section here is something that we're subtracting out, so this area is going to be negative. Also, when we did our X value, if you notice how I drew my arrow here, I am also going in the negative direction. With my y bar though, you can see my arrow, I'm also here going in the positive direction. So if I multiply a negative 18 times a negative 4, I get a positive 72. And then when I multiply a negative 18 times 4, I get a negative 72. So summing these all up, 144 minus 18 comes out to be 126 inches squared. 0 and 72 is going to be 72 inches cubed. I guess what I should have done earlier was I do like to put my units up here. So we know this is going to be inches cubed because that's area times my x bar. Inches cubed. Okay, and 0 minus 72 is going to be a negative 72. So now all we got to do is plug into our equations here. So x bar is the summation of ax, which is going to be 72 inches cubed, over the summation of my area, which is going to be inches squared. So computing that, I get a 0.571 inches, because you notice that cancels there. Y bar, again, is going to be my summation of ay, which is negative 72, so negative 72 over 126 inches squared. That was inches cubed. So again, I'm going to get inches, and that's also going to be negative. That's actually not going to be a negative 0.571 inches. So earlier I said it's probably going to be in this area here. Well, by my values here and what I just calculated, my x bar here comes out to be 0.571. Remember, because I'm going to the right, it's positive. And this value here is a negative 0.571. So that is where my centroid for this shaded region is located. Alright, we'll do a few more. Hopefully we can conquer this section so we can do well on one of the final exam problems. Thanks.